this is good, but I've got to raise myself up. And so he sold his business, if you will, threw himself into the spiritual river, said, what am I going to do? And he went to work for the Department of Rehabilitation, helping with people with disabilities. And did so well, he's up among the top management in the state of California. But what he still does is mentor individuals with disabilities. Individually, as he sees these people trying to work their way through, he'll get a hold of them and work with them personally on how he did it and how you can move through life being blind. And so that's what you get when you throw yourself in this spiritual river. You get that release and allowed to take you on the way. Because you see, we all have to, at some point, if we want to move forward, we have to realize where we are and what life is about. And that's what that spirituality is. That's what that spiritual river shows us. Because, you know, through evolution, we came through in that lower consciousness. And, you know, I was sort of raised in that lower consciousness. In my family, really, and in the environment we were in. And you have to accept that that was part of that life. And what you did was you took care of yourself. And if you were among people and somebody hit you, you hit them back harder. That was part of it. Didn't matter if you had to wait in order to do it. Eventually, you hit them back harder. I remember when I was very young and my older sister, and we'd get in fights and she'd hit me. And always, eventually, I hit her back twice. She said, that's not fair, I only hit you once. I said, well, yeah, but I've got to hit you back twice if I'm going to take care of myself. But you know, that's not where we have to be now. Not many of us are in physical fights anymore. But we still do it. We still live that way. We still have this in us when somebody attacks us in some way by what they do, by what they say, by those things that get to us. We harbor that need to get back. And what that does is we harbor that need to get back at them, that forms resentment in us. And Nelson Mandela said about resentment, he said, having resentment is like drinking poison and hoping your enemy dies. And that's what we do to ourselves. We kill ourselves with this outdated, lower consciousness approach to life. When we can throw ourselves in the river, and what it does is it washes away that ego. That river flowing through us, that spiritual river, washes away those fears and needs that go beyond what our real life is about. And it shows us the unity of all things, the unity with each other. And I'm talking true unity. I'm not talking about an abstraction here. I am saying that we are one with all things. We had a visitor over Labor Day. A couple of visitors, some friends of ours, Mary Ann and John Carty. I've mentioned John before. John is a subatomic particle physicist at Oxford. They were friends of ours when we lived in Santa Barbara. And he and I got to talking some physics. I was helping him, you know, figure out some things. Trying to swing him out in some of this. But, he did tell me a little about his work, and he was pretty excited because he works on the property of matter. What's the actual, when it gets down to it, the real properties of matter? And he was very excited because what happens in science is you come up with a theory and then you test it. Well, in the old days, you know, testing theories wasn't that difficult. But once you start dealing with quantum theory and things happening at the subatomic particle level, it gets much more difficult. But now they have techniques. And he was telling me about a technique where they can take small amounts of matter and they can bring it down to 1 billionth of a degree above absolute zero. Amazing technology. But what this does is help test some of his theories. Because he said these same things apply at higher temperatures, but you can't isolate it. You can't see it there. But when you get it where almost all other energies are out, what they're finding, we've talked about this some, is that atoms are entangled. What does that mean? That means that these atoms have effects on each other that cannot be explained by any other energy flow among them. That what affects one atom affects the other atoms in this isolated situation where all other energy is gone. They can observe that. That is reality. And the reality is, unity is the actual reality of the world. Physical unity and spiritual unity. And when you throw yourself in the river, that's what you're getting. That washing away of your ego and ability to see that you're one with everything and with everyone around you. And so, maybe at times we can use the affirmation, I celebrate the unity of all things, and I joyously ride the spiritual river of truth.
Whoa.